Hello, my name is Jim. Welcome to my booktube channel about books and reading and stuff. In April I put out a video about geodiversity. I'll link to that here. I was saying I need to read more geographically diverse books. Most of the authors I read are either from the US or the UK. In 2020 I read books from authors from 9 different countries. These were the US, the UK, Russia, Japan, Georgia, also Ireland, South Africa, Canada and Trinidad. In April there was a succession of authors from different countries. I read Play All by Clive James from Australia, then Binti by Nnedi Okorafor, who's Nigerian American, Villa Pacifica by Kapka Kasabova, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, and Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. Aside from American and British authors, this year I read GABRIEL Garcia Marquez in February, Bon Voyage, Mr. President, a collection of his short stories. This was as part of the Invisible Cities project. The Invisible Cities project is a project on BookTube where 3 countries are selected each month and people are encouraged to read books from these countries, and in February it was Colombia. I didn't follow many of the Invisible Cities, but I did a few. In May I read The Pear Field by Nana Ektimishvili. This is a Georgian writer, and the book was nominated for the Booker Prize, the International Booker Prize longlist. I'd like to read a lot more Georgian writers because I live in Georgia, but usually books like these are the only ones available in the local bookshop, and these are not very good. I did a video about Georgian literature and English translation. I'll link to that here. Sometimes it's difficult to decide what is a country. Puerto Rico. I read a collection of short stories, Migrations by J.L. Torres from Puerto Rico in June, but Puerto Rico is not independent territory. It's in some ways part of the USA, but it's not integrated as a state. Does it count as a separate country or not? I don't know. 2021 I've read books written by authors from 14 different countries. This would be UK and US as usual. Also Georgia, Japan and Russia, which I also read in 2020. And Colombia, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Guinea-Conakry, I read Ibrahim Balde's memoir, Little Brother, talking about how he went from Guinea across the Sahara Desert and all the troubles he faced there, finally getting on a Zodiac boat and getting to Spain. I read Akweki Emeze, who's from Nigeria, she's Igbo. I read C.T. Ruizi's These Alien Skies. C.T. Ruizi is an author from Zimbabwe, and this was a book of Afrofuturism, imagining an African space crew wanting to colonize a new planet for the African diaspora. In May I read Return to the Enchanted Island by Johari Ravolson. This is the first book I've ever read by an author from Madagascar. Very few Madagascan authors, Malagasy authors, have been translated into English. I wasn't particularly impressed, but it was interesting to read about the island. I did enjoy reading Australian authors this year. I've read 4 books by Australian authors. The first was Play All by Clive James, the famous broadcaster, about TV series. Then I read T. Cooper's The Cartographer's Secret. This is a historical novel with a dual timeline, one set in 1880, one set in 1911, about these feisty Australian women who were looking into the trail of the German explorer Leichhardt, and what happened to them. And then I read The Devil in the Red Dirt by Michael P. Smith, an Australian noir novel, which was really good, set in 1963, about these two broken detectives who go to try and discover who killed these two Aboriginal children that turn up in a Rolls-Royce car in the middle of Sydney, in Darlinghurst. And I read Red Road, which is also set in the outback in northern Queensland by Roger Wheatley, so I've really enjoyed my Australian reading this year. I also read Villa Pacifica by Kapka Kasabova. Kapka Kasabova is from Bulgaria. The book is set in South America and the protagonist is from Finland, so it's very geographically diverse. From Denmark I read Carsten Jensen's We the Drowned, another very good book about the nautical history of Marstal, a Danish seaport, and it's a multi-generational novel going from 1848 to 1945 about the men of Marstal who go to sea and the women left behind. It was a Danish bestseller, and I also read a book by a German author. I didn't realise he was German when I read it, the biography of Renoir. This is by Raymond H. Feist. Most of the viewers to this channel, according to my analytics, come from the United States or from Georgia, the country where I'm living. Then UK, so that stands to reason I should be reading a lot of books about from US and UK, because this will be what interests my viewers. There's also Canada and Netherlands in the top 5. I haven't read any Dutch authors this year, but I did read The Dutch Coffee Shop by J. Scully, which is an American author, but his book is set in Netherlands and it's about drug gangsters in Netherlands and an American who goes looking for his brother there. It's an interesting read. The year is not yet finished, so I may finish some more books this year, but they're not geographically diverse. As you may know, I'm reading Little Dorrit by Charles Dickens. Couldn't get much more English than this. I'm currently on page 306. I don't think I'm going to finish this year, which is a shame, but it's almost halfway now. I'm also reading The Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons by Kate Cavari. Kate Cavari lives in Texas, in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm reading a HorrorTube anthology. I believe most of the writers are either British or American. The two I know, Steve Donoghue and Dane Comain. Steve Donoghue is from Boston, America, and Dane Comain is from High Wycombe in England. If you like this video, you can like and subscribe below, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.